Hello and welcome to the video that's been literally years in the promising. Part of why it's taken me this long to do this is because I wanted to have an even 10 episodes of New Who to talk about, but that didn't happen. I stubbornly didn't promote an it's not terrible enough to review episode to this list because honesty is my trademark. After yelling, and swearing, and hitting the sideburns idiot, and being tall, and many other things, but something happened that made me get up, stop waiting to see if Series 10 of New Who had a great episode, and make this video. Christopher, this is for you. I'm going to talk about 9 episodes that I, in all of my New Who hating clarity, can say aren't completely shit. Am I not merciful? We're going in TV order. I'm not going to list them by quality because, please, don't make me decide what the best episode of New Who is. So we begin with Season 1 and Dalek. Rob Shearman is probably the best writer on New Who, and that's only partly because he's the only one with a 100% hit record. The man is brilliant, just check out his big finish on non-Who stuff. This one is set in a base under Utah in the far-off year of 2012. Dramatic chord. Rich American cunt head Henry Van Staten collects alien stuff, including a Cyberman head that they say is from the London sewers in the 60s, which would mean it's from the invasion with Patrick Troughton, but it's clearly a revenge of the Cyberman head from the Tom Baker era, and that story wasn't even set on Earth. There's also what might be a Jaggeroth spaceship from City of Death, so that's nice.
Someone's collecting aliens, that makes you Exhibit A.
Good work saying that loud enough for the guards to hear, Rose. Of course Van Staten also was a Dalek chained up in his basement, alive and waiting. Trivia, they didn't know if they'd get the rights to use the Daleks, so Russell invented the Tocklefin as a backup. You see, the BBC owns the visual rights to the Daleks, but none of the words, not even the name. They just own the giant pepper pot. The Doctor has a fantastic scene facing off against the Dalek before it gets released and kills almost everything in its path. Nick Briggs does a great job as a Dalek, and the idea of a Dalek committing suicide because it had been infected by humanity was brilliant. And the episode did the single most important thing it had to do. Make the Daleks something that in pop culture had been a joke for over a generation, is something to be reckoned with. Something to be feared. And here's how they did it.
What you gonna do? Sucker me to death?
Part of what makes this so special is the numbers involved. One Dalek versus an army of people. It really showcases the power of the Daleks. Of course, that's fucked up in literally every other New Who story because tens, thousands, or millions of Daleks are just cannon fodder. If they were as powerful as the one here, those episodes would be seconds long. If that. Being unable to decide between all-powerful Daleks and millions of Daleks is one of those things where New Who tries to have its cake and eat it, but it just throws up everywhere. Now, as good as this episode is, and it is, there are issues. The American accents are bad enough to give me flashbacks to demons.
200 personnel dead, and all because of you, sir. Take him away, wipe his memory, and leave him by the road someplace.
The logic of Rose repowering the Dalek via time traveler DNA is its own special kind of stupid. Rose just being involved loses at points. Van Staten's fate was idiotic for lots of reasons, and even if Adam wasn't reverse engineered from Adric, you could fucking tell.
Oh, right, you're a genius.
Sorry, but yeah.
All in all, Dalek is a shadow of Jubilee, the Big Finish story it was adapted from. It featured the Sixth Doctor, an alternate fascist UK, and a nearly word-for-word version of the Doctor vs. Dalek scene in the cage. This sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm really not. Jubilee is just that good, and it was weakened by turning it into an episode of New Who. Even if it is a very good one. There weren't any good episodes in Season 2, so we're saying goodbye to Me Insulting Rose and leaving straight to Blink and one of the classics written by Grand Moffat Stephen. Back when that title wasn't sarcastic. This is the introduction of what is still the only all-time classic alien in New Who, the Weeping Angels. They're made of stone, can only move when you're not looking at them, and when they touch you, they send you back in time to feed on the potential future that you've lost. This is a Dr. Light episode, stories created to enable them to fit the Christmas specials into the filming schedule. Because of this, 10 is kept to tolerable levels of mostly being off-screen. Unlike Jubilee, this was based on another story, in this case, What I Did in My Summer Holidays by Sally Sparrow, where the Doctor was 9, and so was Sally. Basically, this is a semi-labyrinthine tale of Sally Sparrow solving a case of temporal shenanigans in the wrong order. It's like a greatest hits of the shit Moffat does in his era, but without the crap bits, and since this was new, it was still clever. Of course, Sally's story isn't the whole ordeal, there's the other angle to the story featuring the Doctor and Martha trapped in the 60s. It's an unusual take on a story because traditionally we'd follow the Doctor and Sally's story would be subordinate, but here's the opposite. And the Doctor's story is so subordinate to Sally's that there are big chunks where we don't even know what he's up to. Apart from doing Moffat stuff as well as it's ever been done, this episode really triumphs at the horror. And all with some extras dressed up as statues. The script could have been brilliant, but with bad or even just average direction or acting, this could have been hilarious. But it works. Brilliantly. My favourite piece of meta stuff is that the angels never move while they're on screen, meaning that one of the people they won't move while being seen by is you, the viewer. It really helps sell the final montage that the weeping angels could be out there among you, putting fear of fucking the kids. Well, of course, the meta thing was fucked up in the time of Angels, so I get the feeling that that piece of brilliance was an accident. Next up is from the tail end of Season 4, and Russell T Davies' best work on Doctor Who, the story he held off on until the very end of his era because he's sure it'd be a failure. One of the most experimental episodes Who has ever done. Midnight. Why is it so experimental? I mean, it looks like the same old, same old. The Doctor's stuck in a restricted area with a bunch of assholes. Alien-related shit goes down. The end. But it's a twist that it puts on the familiar that makes it so experimental. The restricted area is much more restricted than usual. The Doctor tries to take control of the situation, as he does, and fails. Even the casting of the Doctorish professor on board helps. He's the son of Patrick Troughton, the second Doctor, and the spitting image of his father. Anyway, I should probably explain what's going on. The Doctor goes on a tour of the diamond planet Midnight to see a waterfall made of sapphires. Midnight's constantly baked by deadly solar rays that will kill anything it touches in moments. But minutes after the tour bus breaks down, something begins to knock on the door.
What was that?
The alien menace is never really seen or heard. Even the invisible enemy in Classic Who had an enemy that was visible. It's never even defined. All we know is that it's malicious, possesses people, and does the best word-based horror this side of Pontypool. The best mimetic zombie film ever made. The Doctor is trapped in an enclosed space with a lot of scared people, and the usual Doctor Who tropes begin to break down as the rest of the cast turn against him. This is pretty much a brilliant horror play done as television, and knowing that Russell had this in him all along, that we could have had 4 years of Who like this but didn't, makes me very sad indeed. Extra fun fact, one of the cast is pretty much failless as a middle-aged dad. The very end of Season 4, before the Journey's End shaped shit it's a fan, is maybe the best period of New Who. Back to back, we have 2 fucking brilliant episodes. Turn Left opens up in Space China, as imagined by someone who's only heard of China via seeing stills from the perils of Gwendolyn in the land of the Yik Yik. And an evil fortune teller, played by Chantho from Season 3, sticks a continuity-altering beetle backpack onto Donna, which undoes everything from the Runaway Bride until now, creating a world where everything in Season 3 and 4 that could go wrong, did go wrong. The Doctor's dead, London's destroyed, most spin-off characters are killed off-screen, the UK's devolving into a fascist state, there's refugee issues, and this is uncomfortably close to reality. Anyway, Rose manages to get through from the alternate reality where she was filed away to help Donna and Unit put things right. The last episode deconstructed the tropes of the Doctor himself, and this one shows a more realistic view of what would happen to the Earth in the New Who world. There's not much actual plot here, it's mainly a collection of reactions to the terrible events going on. This is possibly the most depressing episode of Who ever made, and that is part of its greatness. Like Midnight, it's unflinching in a way that the show really could have benefited from doing more often. Big parts of this are a showcase for Donna as a character, and how you feel about this episode will be down to how you feel about her. Personally, I love her, so that makes a Strong as Hell episode even better. The story could have done without Rose, but that's just my opinion, and the on-the-nose explanation of the fates for everyone involved in seasons 1 to 4, tortured in the Surgeon Adventures, is a bit much. But still, Turn Left is one of the episodes of New Who that is legitimately great. Next we enter Season 5, in my opinion one of New Who's best years, with Amy's Choice. Amy and Rory have retired from TARDIS shenanigans to the small village of Upper Ledworth. It's all change as Amy's pregnant and Rory's grown a ponytail. But it's the same old as CGI has invaded the mouths of the local elderly. The only thing is when they fall asleep they wake up in the TARDIS, non-pregnant nor ponytailed. And the TARDIS is dead and slowly being frozen by a cold star. And when they sleep again, they're back in Ledworth with no idea what is real.
If you die in the dream, you wake up in reality. Ask me what happens if you die in reality.
What happens?
You die, stupid. That's why it's called reality.
And then the mysterious Dream Lord appears, an enigmatic Toby Jones-shaped person who hates the Doctor and spends the whole time mocking him. The main problem with this episode is the inclusion of the ridiculous-looking monsters. It's a recurring problem in New and Old Who. Develop an interesting concept, but lose confidence in it and add a traditional monster. It makes the times they didn't, like Midnight, all the more impressive. But I suppose the monsters here could be a bit of self-parody. The name of the episode comes from Amy being told to choose which of the possible dreams she would rather have. Symbolic of her choosing between Rory and the Doctor. It falls apart a little though, as Amy was never going to have the Doctor. Structurally, this is essentially 2 conjoined twins of an episode. 2 stories connected by shared strands of plot and topped off with a twist. Like all episodes, it's not perfect, but the crap here is pretty much limited to the crap monsters and Rory's wig and the Leadworth scenes. Our next episode comes from later in Season 5, Vincent and the Doctor. I think it's the last, and it's definitely the best of the celebrity historicals. Between episodes, Amy has developed a lifelong interest in Vincent van Gogh. The Doctor sees some sort of thing in a window of a building painted by him and is convinced that something evil was going on, and so goes to 1890 to investigate. Of course, it would be far simpler if it was just Van Gogh being abstract, but the Doctor is always right.
I know evil when I see it, and I see it in that window.
Well, he's not quite right about that, but it's definitely a thing. The backbone of the story is the Doctor and Amy making friends with Van Gogh through his ups and downs, while a lone alien that's both blind and invisible accidentally terrorizes a town. Tony Curran is brilliant as Van Gogh. The script is great, but occasionally falls into negative tropes, such as having Van Gogh's mental illness make him different enough to see the alien. Curran takes this script and elevates it with a multi-layered and often moving portrayal. Hell, he even looks just like Van Gogh. The end of the episode, when Van Gogh is brought to a present-day museum to see his fame, is easily one of the most emotional moments in the show's history. It's just a pity that it's almost ruined by the cloying pop music dubbed over it. And the design of the invisible alien is pretty crap. A nearly hilarious-looking giant CGI turkey. They went for something different, but it didn't work. It's even funnier than seeing people flail madly against empty space. It was great to see Bill Nye the actor guy appear in Who after so narrowly missing him as the Ninth Doctor. Overall, a really strong episode with a crushing ending. The next episode is from Season 6, a crap season compared to 5, but not without its highlights. Highlights like the Doctor's wife. This is clever, funny, has terrific horror sections, it references obscure stuff from 60s Who, and has a brilliant villain. Basically, it's everything you could ever hope for in a Neil Gaiman episode. Unlike the other one he did. On a remote asteroid, a group of patchwork people have been Frankensteined together by the asteroid itself. A malevolent thing called House that eats TARDISes. In order to eat the TARDIS, it first removes the TARDIS's mind and puts its consciousness inside one of its people. TARDISes are alive, you see, and that's been a thing since the early days of the show. Hearing that the Doctor is the last of the Time Lords, House puts his mind into the TARDIS and heads away to pastures new, leaving the Doctor and his TARDIS's mind to try and get back on board and save the day before House drives Amy and Rory mad. Martin Sheen's voice is great as House. The patchwork people are nice and Tim Burton-y. I mean, good Tim Burton-y. Pre-Big Fish Tim Burton-y. The sections with Amy and Rory alone in the TARDIS being fourth-dimensionally tormented is one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in New Who. And Saran Jones is fantastic as a human incarnation of the TARDIS, trying to deal with things like legs, tenses, and words. Now, it's not perfect, but most of my issues are to do with the weirdly sexual relationship between the Doctor and the TARDIS.
So what I call you?
I think you call me sexy.
Only when we're alone.
Well, that and the wildly compressed timescale of the episode, but that's a general New Who thing. But New Who thing or not, they build a working TARDIS in less than an hour! Fucking hell! I will admit, though, that even I, in my infinite hatred, managed to smile when Eccleston and Tennant's control room turned up. And the off-screen Time Lord, the Corsair, is totally the shopkeeper from the Surgeon Adventures. Says me, and, less importantly, Neil Gaiman. Near the end of Season 6 is my next pick, The Girl Who Waited. In some ways, this is a bit of an inversion of Amy's choice, where instead of dual situations and Amy is the link between them, it's two Amys with a situation between them. In a futuristic hospice, Amy is separated from Rory and the Doctor. The facility messes with the speed of time to allow patients with a fatal condition to live full lives before dying, all the while keeping in contact with their loved ones in the usual time stream. Unfortunately, Amy got stuck in the fast one for 36 years before the others find her again, and she is not happy. The script is strong, the performances are great, Karen Gillan even manages to act through some quite dodgy old age makeup. The one unusual area the episode shines is the design work. Most of the hospice looks sleek and very pre-Star Wars 70s sci-fi. Story-wise, it reminded me of harder-than-average science fiction, rather than the all-too-common fairy tale stuff. As for the closest thing the episode has to monsters, the hand robots, they look fine, but they're a bit stupid, and how they move is fairly crap. But as quibbles go, that's a small one. I also could have done with one of the Amys going out kicking and screaming, but that's just me. My last choice of New Who episodes that aren't shit is from Capaldi's first season. It's Mummy on the Orient Express. A story that was mooted a few seasons before, but it's sort of mutated over the years.
Well, no, I get that it's important. An Egyptian goddess loose on the Orient Express. In space.
A mummy is loose on a space train, and every so often it appears and kills someone. But only the victim can see it, and from when it appears, they only have 66 seconds until it murders them. Now I'm going to take a slightly unusual tack with this episode because it's the only New Who classic that I can think of that would work even better in Classic Who. As it is, we get the Doctor watching people die, but any information he gleans from them isn't used to defeat the mummy. Instead, the Doctor doses himself with something and uses 66 seconds to work out what's going on and win. And while that's great for aggrandizing the Doctor, it kind of means that everything that happened beforehand is pointless. As a 4-part Classic Who story, we would have had the Doctor using information from the mummy's victims and working with the other scientists to understand what's going on, rather than giving himself 66 seconds to work out everything on the spot. Basically, he'd act more like a scientist than a superhero. That's what he did in Old Who, especially in the Pertwee and Tom Baker era. And I'm not the only one who's worked out how classic this story feels. The mummy idea fits the Tom Baker era so well, Capaldi decided to do an impersonation of him.
Because you know what this sounds like, don't you? No. Do tell me. A mummy that only the victim can see. I was being rhetorical.
All in all, this is a fantastic episode, but it could have been even better if only someone had thought of it a few decades earlier. John Sessions was perfect as the enigmatic Gus, and I'm counting the episodes until he returns. I'm not fond of the Frank Skinner appearance, but you can't win them all. Honourable mentions. These are the episodes that nearly made the list, but contained a little bit too much shit for my taste. Father's Day. This was good, and even better, a brave story that damaged itself by including the Reapers, the CGI beasts that ate people. It reminds me of Inferno in the Pertwee era, an unconventional story that someone tried to wreck by forcing a traditional monster into it. Inferno was good enough to survive the Primords, Father's Day not so much. Family of Blood, Human Nature. Again a good story, but severely botched one of the best elements the novel it was based on. In the novel, it was the 7th Doctor who became human, the 7th being the coldest and one of the less human Doctors. It was a complete change in personality. John Smith in the TV version is 10 with the annoyance dialed down, and that's about it. A Christmas Carol. This is easily the best Christmas special. It has the crappy kitsch that all the Christmas specials have, but it was counterbalanced by the story being good. As an extra bit of crapness, this is the point where 11 went from being the love child of 2 and 6 to being a zanier remake of 10. As good as this story is, that marks it down a bit. Flatline. This one was almost in my list. The main reason it's not is because it did too much. It should have concentrated on the mysterious 2D aliens and what might be their fatal attempts to communicate. The 2D beings taking on 3D form and being actively malevolent really should have been saved for a sequel. Hellbent. This is good. Very good. It's the best episode of Season 9 and features a tour de force performance from Capaldi. Its main problems are its deep connections with a bad episode beforehand and a really shit one afterwards. It can't be taken as a single episode, and that is its downfall. I'll be reviewing Heaven Sent later. General New Who stuff I like includes the Psychic Paper, a great idea that would have cut a whole episode of most classic Who stories. The Weeping Angels, a brilliant and simple idea used a chilling effect in Blink. I like the Angels so much that I'm even okay with Time of Angels and Flesh and Stone. Though it pales in comparison to Blink. I'm really hoping they get used well again one day. And lastly, I love the end of Day of the Moon, the closest thing to old school 7th Doctor coldness when dealing with a foe. He manipulates the silence into commanding the human race to murder them. So there you go, someone who's 32% made of hatred for New Who being nice about it. I've been rewatching the episodes for this video and I have to say it's a weird experience for me to watch this much New Who and not swear. Loudly. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully I'll be back to my swearing and insulting ways in no time.
Hello everybody, hello, my name is Teddy and I'm here to talk about my brand new headphones. They let me hear in yellow. I was able to get these headphones because the mistress was given money by the nice man called Patreon. You see, Patreon pays a few monies to the mistress so he can see the reviews early and without the black boxes that hide all the silly naughty bits. He sometimes also picks reviews for the mistress to look at, which is always fun. What Teddy would really like is for you to be like Patreon. Give money to the mistress and then maybe Teddy can get red headphones. Red phones! Yeah, so you do that and I get red phones. Do it now. Yeah.
Sunshine, lolly.